So you want to start a career in the web industry, but you can't decide what to choose between becoming a web designer or a web developer. So which one should you choose?
Let's find out.
Hello, I'm your host Casino. I'm a digital alchemist, and today I want to talk about whether you should become a web designer or a web developer. And at the end of this video, I will share resources that can help you speed up the decision process. So first of all, let's define what a web designer and a web developer are, because behind the meaning, many people use the terms to describe the same profiles or overlapping profiles, and with the addition of UI and UX designers, it all adds to the confusion. And don't forget that the web evolves just like a person, and the meaning of certain terms evolves as well. So for the sake of this video, let's define those frontiers by looking at the usual ways a web project is managed. A web designer in a perfect world is the person that designs the design of a website.
Yeah, for real.
And they do that in apps like Sketch, Photoshop, or similar, and could also document the interaction of the various elements in apps like InVision Studio or Sketch. And still in that perfect world, the designer then passes on his designs to a front-end web developer that will transform the designs into code that a web browser can read so that visually it looks just like the initial visual creation, but tailored for the web. That's also the moment when the interactions are coded, most likely using a language like JavaScript. Then the front-end web developer passes on its prototype to a back-end web developer that will make the prototype dynamic, which means that it will connect it to a database and use a scripting or programming language to make the website perform specific actions like creating a user, changing a password, and so on. So, strictly speaking, the web designer only designs in the perfect world of web wonderful land. But this magic land tends to disappear because now, before the coders ever get their hands on coding, we find new categories of professionals that get on board. User interface or UI designers, also called sometimes UI developers, and user interaction or UX designers, also called sometimes UX developers. The UI designer will design the layout based on storytelling, the industry, the target market, and the actions intended, while the UX designer will focus on the user's journey to solve a particular problem. So even though UI and UX designers are designers at core, they are expected to have knowledge in coding, but also in psychology and sociology, because instead of just throwing a nice design for a new website or application, they are expected to base their decisions on a mix of variables like human interaction science, design trends, and platform user behaviors. So if I could make an analogy, I'd say that the design of a car and all of the parts composing it would be the UI, while the way the parts interact and the experience it creates for the driver would be the UX. Now, what about web developers? That's where the antique world of web designers and web developers overlap, because where we used to have strictly front-end developers and back-end developers, now the limit is getting thinner between the UX designer and the front-end developer, although the latter one tends to specialize more in the likes of Angular, React, and a bunch of other ones that you probably have no clue about if you're a designer, but that speaks to your heart if you are a developer. Now, the backend developer remains a category of its own, taking care of developing the chronological and computational side of an application, whether we are talking about a website, an app, or a full-blown software. He maintains the applications, makes sure that they are secured and up to date with other systems. He ensures compatibility and connectivity with databases. Now, the reality of the market. With the digital age we live in and the myriad of startups popping up every day, there are definitely opportunities for both designers and developers, whether as generalist web designers, front-end and back-end developers, or as specialists like UI and UX designers. Now, why is that? Well, because the reality of the market is that not everyone can afford applications designed from scratch, and that's when generalists come into play. Now, let's face it, mom and pop stores may have a $2,000 budget for designing their website, but not the $20,000 that it would take to design it with specialists, UI, UX, front and back developers. And I'm just stating random prices here because, it may well be $1,000 to $100,000 or even more depending on how you price your services. So as you can see, it doesn't really make sense for very small businesses unless they have a substantial budget to start with. So, if that's your target market and you want to be able to still make a profit while limiting the production costs, then you have to make the web designer and the web developer frontiers blend. And today, with tools like WordPress, which at the time of recording this video fuels about one website out of three in the world, it is completely possible for a web designer with little to no coding experience to offer website creation services, and the same is also true for a web developer that can't even make a drawing of the sun without sucking at it. And that is now possible with page and theme builders that come on top of WordPress, as well as the gazillion of professional plugins that are developed for the platform. So today you can deliver a website that used to cost something like $10,000 for $2,000 or even less. Now, does that mean that it's the end of web designers and web developers?
Not at all.
Because first, some applications need to be designed from scratch in order to achieve results that generic designs and plugins can never replicate. And two, the designs and plugins that you can use for your own projects at a fraction of the cost, they must be designed and developed in the first place, and their creators get even more money on a global scale because they are not limited by the number of copies they can sell, whereas when they sell their skills as employees or on a per project basis, they can only make that much of money. Now, even if you decide to be a generalist, you can set yourself apart from the competition by specializing along the way. So you could be a web designer but learn about UI or UX along the way and integrate your new knowledge project after project, even if it's for mom and pop shops. So which one should you choose? Well, first of all, it depends on your sensitivity. What do you love doing for hours, even if you're not getting paid? Do you love materializing your ideas in Illustrator or Photoshop for hours in the evenings or on the weekends? Then, of course, you already know that you're more of a designer, but that doesn't mean that you should be exclusively that. Get past your fears of learning to code, try learning the basics. Now, once you've tried for a few days or weeks, you will know if this is something for you or not. And then you can decide whether you want to exclusively design or if you want to specialize in UI or UX. Or do you love thinking about how an app works, the logic behind it, and how you could have coded it? How you would have made it better? Do you love understanding how things work in general? Are you intrigued by the world of coding when your fellow designer's friends faint at staring at a sublime text window? If that's you, then you got your answer. This is what excites you. What's left for you to do is to get started, get your hands dirty, and find out whether you are more of a front-end or a back-end developer. It depends on your career and goal. Are you trying to make the decision in order to get a job or in order to start your own business? If you are looking to get a job, I'd say start with what you're already good at. Research and study job offers and make a plan to complement your skills with the most demanded skills. So, for example, if you have already created some nice websites for friends and family and you love doing that, then get some more training and try to add what is most demanded on the market. And if you notice that you see a lot of UI designers positions open, then get some UI knowledge and make a couple of projects integrating your new knowledge and make sure you outline it in your portfolio. Then, once you're employed, you can always get further education because in the digital age, things evolve so fast that, in my opinion, spending years studying about web design or web development can be risky because by the time you finish, it may be a totally different game. So, personally, I much prefer ongoing learning. I'm still learning today and I love it. Now, if your goal is to start your own business, then unless you already have partnerships with other professionals like multiple web agencies, I would focus on being able to deliver to my target market without involving a lot of production costs. So, if my target market is solopreneurs and small businesses, I would focus on learning web design as well as WordPress and the tools that are built on top of it. Now, if my target market was agencies that are looking for native app developers, then of course I'd go to the backend developer route and would learn the languages most demanded on the market. But you have to start somewhere, so I would try learning a couple of languages and see which one I resonate most with. But I would also base my decision on market demand. Now, it also depends on your financial goals. One thing is for sure, specialists get paid more than generalists. Or
Is it?
well, it depends. Of course, at core, a specialist will be paid more, but who will make more money between a specialist employed with a salary cap and a generalist being his own boss and with great commercial skills? Now, you're free to make your own choices, and I'm not judging anyone, but life is way too short to learn and work in a field that you don't love just for the sake of money, in my humble opinion. Because what you will gain in financial terms, you may lose in quality of life, stress, and energy. Now, of course, if your passion is chewing bubblegum all day long, unless you manage to become an influencer at chewing bubblegum, then I tell you, be smart. Go and get a job, even if you don't like it, because you need money to live and pay the bills before you can figure out what to do in your life. But if you're privileged enough that you can get to decide what you want to do with your life, then act on it and choose something that you are excited about. Now, if you love equally design and codes and your aim is to be employed, web developers tend to get paid more than web designers, but as we've seen, that's changing if you go deeper in design with UI and UX. Resources to help you speed up your decision. So, whether you've already made a decision or just in the decision making process, I'd like to share resources that can help you make a decision faster. So, on the free side, we have Code Academy, where you can learn HTML, CSS, Python, PHP, JavaScript, and AngularJS. Next, we have Free Code Camp, where you can learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, DevTools, Node.js, React, jQuery, and more. Then we have Khan Academy, where you can learn pretty much anything about computer programming. And we have Udemy, which offer both free and paid courses. But watch out for the reviews because pretty much anyone can create a course on that platform. And of course, we have YouTube. Channels like Learn Code Academy, Derek Banas, and the New Boston focus on development, whereas channels like The Future focus more on design, and a channel like Design Course blends it all together, talking about design and development in order to go full stack. Now, there are many more free resources, but my goal here is not to overwhelm you, and I'm pretty confident that if you start with those ones, you will know fast enough whether you are tailored for the design or the development side of the force. Now, on the premium side, there are even more resources, and the advantage is that you get really to the point, efficiency focused courses that can help you develop skills faster than on some of the previously shared resources. And on this channel, we'll review a few, but today I'd like to talk about Team Treehouse that I've personally tried a few years ago and that really did help me build up some skills. Also, because this video targets both people who are looking for a job and people who are looking to start their own business, I think Treehouse is perfect because they offer various tracks as well as services to help you find a job if that's your aim. Also, they have different price points depending on whether you want to be certified or not, so you can get started for as low as $25 per month. And in my opinion, in 6 months or less, if you really want it bad enough, you can start your career from there. Also, the good news is that you can start testing the platform for free for 7 full days, and you will find the link in the description of this video. By the way, this video is not sponsored by Treehouse, but I love the experience I've had with it, and I believe that it can be of real value to you, so you will find a direct link to Team Treehouse in the description of this video. And it is an affiliate link, which means that if you do enroll with them, I will get a commission that in turn helps support this channel so that I can keep producing free content for you. Now, the good news is that whether you have no money or instead have some budget to invest in your own education, you can get where you want to be sooner or later depending on your motivation and the time that you can allocate to it. So, I hope that this video gave you solid hints to decide whether you should pursue a web designer or a web developer career. And if it did, let me know in the comments. I'd also like to know if you've already chosen a path, and if so, what was the deciding factor? Let me know in the comments of this video, and by the way, you'll find the companion blog article with all the links on my website casino.com, and of course you will find a direct link in the description of this video. Now, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up as it really helps growing this channel, and if you know someone that could benefit from it, please share it now because let's face it, there are so many things to do in a day that if you don't do it now, you'll probably forget. Now, if you want to brand market and grow your business in the digital age, make sure you subscribe and smash the notification bell so that you never miss a share of digital alchemy. And if you are interested in tips, tools, services, and case studies that can help you grow your business online, then go to casino.com/newsletter and subscribe to my email newsletter. So I hope to see you in the next video. And in the meantime, do you know what time it is? I think you do. It's time to invest
in your success.